I believe I've said before that every time you create some Python code, every time we put some code in a file, it's a module. In Python speak, we'd say it's a module. Right? So every time we've created some code and run it, let's see, let me come over here and say new. I'm going to. Are you? Let me know if you're okay with what I'm doing or not okay with what I'm doing. Def stuff going. Print. Return set. Okay. I know we haven't had a lot of opportunity to talk about functions. And I'm pretty sure though I've said things like, oh, 3 things. When you think of a function, when you smell a function, there's actually 2 sets of 3 things you should think of. If you've got a function, there must be a declaration to say that there's a function, a definition to say what the function does, and then a call to actually use it. Agreed? Remember the whole f of x thing from your numbers class? We said f is the name of the function, x in the parentheses there, and that's the declaration tells you, you see that, you know there's a function named f, and it has a parameter named x. But you don't know what it does until we say, oh, f of x equals 2x plus 3. That's the definition. That's great. It doesn't do you any good. Doesn't evaluate until you say, oh, f of 5. You say 5 is what? I think it's 2x plus 3. So 2 times 5 is 10, plus 3 is 13 is the answer. Let me know if that's an issue. We can discuss it more in Discord. It's one we did it in one of the. Pretty sure we did it in one of the videos, but maybe I'm wrong. Is this sounding familiar to anybody? Everybody? Feeling good about it? Okay. I feel like I owe you more for that, so hold me accountable to it. But I have some Python code. In fact, actually, let's do this. I'm going to save this. And I have a directory where I'm storing my class stuff here. So, and we know the secret is I'm going to call it something.py, stuff.py. Okay. So then I can come over here and I can say, hey, Python, because I'm at my CLI and I'm in the same folder. In fact, if you wanted to I can do a listing and we can find, yep, there's stuff.py right there. Along with a whole bunch of other examples I've been keeping from quizzes that we need to go over one of these days. But okay. So I invoke the Python interpreter with an argument of the name of my file, stuff.py, and it runs. It says stuff : okay. And I'm wondering what in the world I did. Maybe I should have called it something. Did I already have a stuff.py or something? Did I not store it in the same place? Okay, let me check this out here. So it doesn't really matter. I'm going to say file, save as. I'm in the right folder. Stuff.py, I don't know. What's something I don't have? I'm pretty sure I don't have .py. Okay. And so now I'm going to say Python don't have ls. Do I have a don't have? I don't. I'm not in the same place. CSCS 1240 F25. Where did I save this? This is C colon backslash to the root CSCS 1240 F25 in a folder called UI. I don't want to be there. That's the problem. So I'm going to say, let's save this thing as, but not in the folder UI. Okay, let me save it in my CS24. That path stuff will get you every time. Okay, so now I'm going to call it stuff.py. Not that it really matters. It's going to ask me to overwrite it because it did exist. Okay, there we go. And now I say Python stuff.py. And it runs. Did I lose anybody with any part of that?
What was the point of the return 7?
So return is a keyword, and when we call a function to have it do its thing, it can return one value back to where it called from. I'll show you an example. I think that'll help clarify that. So the important thing is, in my Python code here, I defined this function. Okay? And when I ran it, Python said, sure, okay, define the function, and then the program ended. Didn't do anything visible, but I didn't tell it to, and it didn't execute the function because I didn't tell it to. I've defined the function, but I haven't called it. So what I will do now is I will say stuff brackets, which is going to call the function. Okay. I run that. And it printed stuff. And then it returned 7.
I understand why it did stuff. What do you mean it returned 7?
It did. But I didn't do anything with it. So this is important. This is a definition. Defines what the function does if it's ever called. When I use the name of the function here, parentheses, I'm calling it. So again, when Python executed this, it kept that in memory. It didn't execute this right away. It got down here and said, oh, go do this function. Then it went up and it did these two statements.
Stuff.
And that's why we saw stuff printed here. I mean, to clarify, because I've named the file that, now all that confuses us. We do stuffies just so we can see that indeed what I'm seeing displayed here, printed here, is from this print statement. Because now I've actually called the function.
And it returned the value of 7?
Now, when I called the function, it went off, it did these two lines, and the function returned the value of 7 to replace this. So this got replaced with 7, the value that was returned. But I didn't do anything with it. Oh, okay. So what if I said print? Spaces don't matter, but just for clarity, dun, dun, okay.
I think I see now.
So again, it called the function, it went off and said print stuffy, and then it returned 7, and so this, when it evaluated this function call, it replaced the function call with the value that was returned from it. So it replaced that with a 7, and then print said, okay, fine, I'll print 7.
I think I get it.
Everybody get it? Okay. Now what I'm going to do, because my argument is that that's a module. That's a Python module. So I'm going to say, let me create another file over here. And I'm going to say, I guess, let me call stuff. Well, yeah, okay. I'll start with that. Okay. And I'm going to save this one as in the right place this time. And so I'm in the right directory here. I'm going to save this one as Fust, why not? Dot .py. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so that means then I should be able to come over here and run Fust. Python, what is your problem? It says stuff is not defined. And if you look at this module alone, you're like, well, of course, stuff is not defined. Because stuff was defined over here in this other file, this other module. Named stuff.py, by the way. That's important. So what I can do is I can come over here and I say, okay. Import stuff. Not stuff.py. Don't include the file name extension. Python knows it. Hey, if you're gonna, you can only import Python modules, so it should be named something.py. Okay. Yeah. Good news and bad news. Bad news is it didn't work. We got an error. But the good news is we got a different error. It says module object is not callable. Did you mean, and it's even trying to be helpful here. We can argue about how helpful it actually is, but it says, did you mean stuff dot stuff? Ellipsis, question mark, okay. But is that a hint? And again, it's on line 3 in the file Fust. Oh, now I've got 2 files. So now we can see why it's important that the error message include the file name that it was in. So we know that it's in this file, not in stuff. It's in this one, on line 3, which means it did not have a problem with line 1. The problem was it didn't recognize stuff. Well, that's because it's not, stuff is not defined in this module, it's defined in this module. So, just like with file names and folders and paths, we have to give the path to it. Okay? We have to tell it, hey, it's not stuff that's defined in here, it's stuff that's defined in here. So that's why it's suggesting that I say stuff, member stuff. And I'll do this, and then I'll make it better. So we see stuffy, 7, stuffy. And does it make sense as to why we see that? So what happened was we said import stuff. That went out, and it looked, since I didn't give it a path, it looked in the current directory for a file called stuff.py. Found it, imported it. That means now all of this got read into memory, and it executed this. It was in the file. When it read the file in, it executed it. And so then, when we got over here, executed again. Basically said, okay, go to stuff and call the stuff function. So stuffy came from this print statement. Let me bring that down so we can see on it. Right? It returned 7. So when the print statement called stuffy, it printed stuffy. There's the first stuffy. Returned 7, that replaced it, and it printed the 7. Then it came back over here. Where we said call the function, and we see stuffy. But why don't we see the 7? Now's your chance. He's busy. How come I don't see 7 again? Why do I see stuffy twice but 7 only once?
Because it print stuff there in the first module, and then we have to get a second, basically again in the second module.
I'm calling stuff here.
Yeah. So it
And that is inside of a print statement. So that gets replaced with the value of 7 that's returned, and that 7 gets printed. Over here, I'm calling the function, it returns 7, but I don't do anything with it. There's no print or anything over here. So that did get replaced with the value of 7, but Python doesn't care. Didn't do anything with it. Yeah, I don't know. Okay with that? What do you want me to do? How can I prove this to you?
How would we get 7 again then?
Let me do something with it. Let me say, I mean, I could just do print like I did before, but what I'm more likely to do is to assign that return value to a variable so I can use it. And then I'm going to say print A. So now when I run this,
So how does that work? How did you get 7 twice just because of A?
the key here, first key is I'm running fust, right? So that means execution is going to start with this file, not with this one. The first thing that happens is I import stuff. What that essentially does is to copy and paste in place of that. Okay? Which means now this function named stuff is defined here, and there's also that print statement there. So actually, let me do that again. Because what would happen, we said, okay, the function's defined here, then the print statement executes, calling stuff. That's over here. So that prints stuffy. There's our first stuffy. Then it returns 7. So this gets replaced with the returned value of 7. And it prints that. And then we see the 7 there. Then, remember, this is an assignment. We do the right-hand side first. So that means stuff member stuff in the stuff module, this function named stuff is going to be called. When it calls that, it's going to print stuffy. There's our second stuffy. Then it returns 7. So essentially this gets replaced with 7 because it's assigned to A, and then it prints the value of A, which is our second 7.
So you would have to do an assignment for it to be a second?
You don't have to. I just wanted to show the different. I mean, I could have, let's see. Let me go back here. I could have simply printed stuff.stuff here. Let me cut that out there. Boom. And it accomplishes the same thing without that intermediate variable. Stuffy 7, stuffy 7.
Okay.
Good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. And so now we can make sense out of something we've been seeing that they've been doing that's unnecessary. Did they do it over here? Let's see. So here's our code we were going to look at. We said, okay, when this gets executed, okay, that means the module deck must be out there in the standard libraries, and it is. Okay, so it should be able to find it. Then it's got these functions. Oh yeah, I remember now. It was down here because we came down here and we said that the next statement that would be executed would be, that's a function definition. I don't know why I can't. There it is. Would be this if statement. And we've probably seen this in examples, and I suggest it doesn't matter. For what this is doing here, does not matter. When you have a single file, all your simple programs initially are a single file, that's irrelevant. It's always going to be true. Because dunder name dunder is in double underscore. Those are 2 underscores there. That's Python's way of saying, hey, this is mine, kind of thing. So a lot of internal names are dunder something. Okay, so we have dunder name here. That is a built-in attribute of a module. Every module has an attribute named name, and its name will be assigned to the name of the module. And you're like, well, what is the first module? When I start a program, what's the module? And Python gives it the name, literally the string dunder main. So it's a way of checking to see, is this code in the module that I'm running, not some imported module. Because if this isn't true, then it must be an imported module. This will always be true only in the first module that you run, not an imported module. Which is why we do it. Because normally I would say, don't put print statements in your modules, and then you're stuck with them forever. Well, Python gives us a way out of that. Okay. So over here, remember, when I imported this, it immediately did this. I'm stuck with it. Every time I want to use this module in my other code and so forth, I'm stuck with that. Unless I say if dunder name is equivalent to literally dunder main, then do that, and only then. Up here so you can see that. So now, if I save that and run my file, what am I going to see? I'm going to run fust. Place your bets. One stuffy and 7. Yeah. That came from here. It didn't do this because this was not true. In this code, when I imported it, its name was stuff. In fact, let's prove that. Let's say, no, let's not say that. Let's say outside of there. Let's say print dunder name. There's stuff that came from the name of the module.
What did you name that file? Stuff?
That's a confused part. I could name the file something different so we could see that. I called the file stuff.py, which means the module name is stuff from the file name. But then I also defined a function in there called stuff. And that's okay because function names and module names are distinguishable. But if I called this, let's say, stuffed, okay, if I save that and run this, what's going to happen? Oh, this is good. Will it work? Why not? Module stuff has no attribute stuff. Again, it's smart enough to say, okay, I see what you're doing here. I imported the module stuff. Again, that's from the file name, so I have to change the file name and change that. But when I did that, the function, so this is the module name. I'm referring to the stuff module, but the name of the function now is stuffed. If you can still. Go ahead. Yeah, you're like, wait a minute.
Well, no, just,
Oh.
so for the if dunder name is equivalent to the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
dunder name, is that basically saying the has to be equivalent to the main module?
Oh, you know, I can answer this. Suppose I come over here and I say, hey, Python, run stuff. First of all, I'll get an error, because that's what I thought you were going to be like. Wait a minute. What's this problem here? Can't open the file stuff. Oh, did I change? No. Python stuff.py. Python, the interpreter, needs the extension. When you import the modules, you don't include it. Okay, but it's complaining the name stuff is not defined. Where's that coming from? Well, remember, to demonstrate the separation, I changed the name of the function to stuffed here, and then I changed it over here. I never changed it here. But that wasn't a problem before. Why was it not a problem before this? Because this if statement was not true. So it never executed. It never even attempted to. Now that I'm trying to run stuff.py, I'm trying to run this file as the first module. Now this is going to be true, so it's going to do this. The other hint, if we had looked carefully, we'd say, well, wait a minute. The problem was when it got down to here, which means it should have printed the name. And indeed it did. When I ran stuff.py, the name of the module was main, Dunder main. When I ran it after importing it, it was Dunder stuff. Or just stuff. No Dunders on that. Just the stuff. That was the stuff up here. I got. So, now that I fixed that, let me save that and run this, and there you go. Because I'm running this file, its name is Dunder main, and so it calls the function and executes it. But when I run fust, the name of the module is stuff, not Dunder main, and it calls the function from here, not from here. Probably should do something like, let's use a formatting string and say that from, this is stuff, space, curly braces in the formatting string to replace that with its value over here, and then over here I'll say formatting string from fust, not first, fust, space, curly brace to replace that with its value, and a string. So now, when I run fust, we see stuff, the name of the module, there's stuffy, and from fust, we get 7. But if I run Python, or if I run stuff.py, we see the name of the module is main, there is stuffy, and there's from stuff 7. Sure. Yeah. Take a deep breath. It's a lot of stuff.